do to alter their state, I should say? What are things that people do to alter their state? Exercise, anything else they do to alter their state? They drink, yeah, for sure. Yeah, all that for sure. Yeah, definitely. No, very much so. They do. Music alterates mood. Who listens to music? Yeah, music's fantastic. Okay. Art as well is capable of and music means one thing to one person, one to the other, doesn't it? Okay. Experiential communication, drama, TV. Who likes films? Yes, there we go. So do I, definitely. Who's watched the Titanic? Yeah. Okay, I'm not advising to watch it. And why did you watch it for? You know the ship's going to sink. Why? Why bother? You know the story. Okay, you know the story, so what do people watch it for? It's experience, isn't it? Because you know, I can, without even bothering to watch it, it's pretty straightforward, yet people do watch it, because it's a story, isn't it? It's more than, the Titanic is more than a film, it's a story. It's stories within stories. So a coach, a therapist can use stories to experience. As a coach and therapist, you can utilize stories to empower people. People can go through a series of states. Music alters states really, really well. Who's ever had a bad day and heard music and felt better for it? Or song makes it better for a little while? Definitely. Okay? And human communication is more of an art than a science. Because if I say to someone, and I get, say, if I work didactically and say, well, this is how you feel good. There's no maths equation for happiness. What makes one person happy doesn't make someone else happy. There's no maths equation to alter someone's state. Didactic communication is central in maths, in science, and it's useful. In communication, it's more of an art. We're going to alter someone's state, but probably better, or at least utilizing experiential communication, or getting people to do experiences to move forward. You did the exercise before, the acuity exercise. It was a way of utilizing an experiential method of communicating, non-verbally. You watched the person, they made changes, you guess what the changes were. You had to go into a state, into a gaze, in a state of acuity, to focus on that. We talked about the fight, flight, freeze response, the primal brain, all those years ago. We don't have dinosaurs, but we've got modern day threats. Now people have come with this mindfulness, which is great. I like mindfulness. I love mindfulness, it's great. But these principles are thousands of years old, some of them, and we're putting them into the modern world. And you're in this modern world and you've got bills to pay, you've got places to go, people to see. And then you're sitting down trying to be all Zen-like. And it's not always easy and practical. The brain's implicit. It's useful, but like all things, it's only as useful as we can utilize it. It's useful. It's good. It works really well. I'll touch on it as we go along. We're going to be, I wouldn't say realistic, but practical. Okay? Practical. Stress, you have to take my word for it. Stress is a big thing in society these days. All the stats, you can do your own research. What it's costing, it's not me saying it. What it's costing the health service, what it's costing, just the impact it's having on society is huge. And these estimates for me are mild. They are sourced these estimates, and you can source them yourself, because people say the cases of people who are saying they have work-related depression, anxiety. I think, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, and I could be wrong, I think they're mild, because most people will take a day off and they won't even say they couldn't face it. And you're going to get people saying, well, they've taken a day off to do something else, and maybe some people will do every now and again. But most people are hard-working citizens. They won't take a day off unless something's seriously wrong in certain situations. And I think that that's probably 10 times more cases than what they document. People just get up and think, I just cannot face it. And that's like, I've used the analogy, if this was fizzy pop and I shaped it, what happens, do you think? Exactly. The other analogy that I would say as well is there's an interesting thing is that if I rip this, you probably don't notice it. If I rip it again, rip it again, rip it again, what do I get? And people, we've got resilience, we can cope with life's events, but what happens, I think, is that bit by bit, little by little, we don't look after ourselves. And we have one, like bowling, bang, the 10 pins knock it all down. We become more fragile because we're not doing stuff to look after ourselves, and life will throw you curveballs all the time. People go through job losses, bereavements, breakups, all this stuff goes on. That with life being the way it is, we focus on yesterday. Mindful is useful because we focus on now. Because I can't do anything about what happened yesterday. I can't do anything about tomorrow. I can focus on the now. It's quite useful to be in the now. The only thing I would say, which is quite interesting with the brain's concerned, is that the brain is quite vigilant. We've got a great capacity as human beings to be able to hypothesize. But the hypothesis, is it always good? Is it always a good hypothesis, do you think? No. What if I can't pay the bills? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if, what if, what if? And the what if, because of the way the brain is, primarily, danger generally is a negative what if. Because I know if it's Christmas time and you go shopping and 10 stores treat you really well and they're really kind to you and they make you tea and biscuits, they're kind and give you a good deal, I know if one store rips you off and shortchanges you, who will you talk to when you get home to your partner, your friends, your family, do you think? Precisely. The brain will always prioritize and build implicit associations to danger. So if we don't train the brain, we don't work on that, then we let it just run wild. In the world we live in today, we're not going to get any easier. Technology makes your life easier, but making life harder for some people. Now, in an interesting point of view, people know the concept of schema. For those who don't know schema, I'm going to cut a long story short because we haven't got much time. You've got these early memories, implicit reactions. So fire hot. Fire hot is a schema. Core belief assumption. Someone had mentioned before about belief. What do I think of beliefs? Well, let's put it this way. From this point of view, different realities. So I decide to go for a walk after the course, and we walk through the park. And I decide to go for a walk, me, Chris, and say Martin decide to go for a walk for one reason or the other, and Chris, as a 5-year-old, had a dog like this that was really loving, was his best friend. How would Chris react if he sees that dog, do you think? What was his reaction be? Yeah, of course, he's going to have that reality. He's going to have the association, that connection. If Martin got bitten on the leg by that dog as a 5-year-old, what's his reaction going to be? It's reality. If I have no experience, it might be more neutral. So who's right, who's wrong? What's fact, what's opinion? So if we measure this room and it's 10 meters, and we've got that in a tape measure, that's as close as we're going to get the fact. If I say it's a long way away, it's an opinion. So we've got these running in our mind, the thoughts we had yesterday, the ones we have today and tomorrow. Okay, I'll do an exercise shortly, and what I mean by that, we're not always aware of them. I had a client once who had anxiety. She had anxiety that would kick in after 6 o'clock in the evening. She didn't know why. At 6 o'clock in the evening, she'd always get really anxious. Whenever she closed the door, she'd go home, close the door, she got really anxious. I regressed her, and she was working a very high-powered job and couldn't understand it. She'd been to see people before me to get help, as she said anyway, and wasn't getting anywhere. I regressed her, and there's an irony that when I regressed her, she had a memory. The dog that she got bitten by, attacked by as 12-year-old, had a similar bark to the one that she could hear subconsciously a few houses away. And we did some work and cleaned things up, and she had a more adaptive behaviour. She was better, she improved. Because previously she wouldn't go out of the house after 6 o'clock. She was like this, in freeze mode. After we'd worked with her, she was far more tranquil. Go to the gym, go shopping. So it shows how the brain builds connections. So I kind of feel for people who push themselves and really push themselves to sink or swim when the brain is a little bit more complex than that. Okay? I'm not saying that's a given, and that was the case. It may not have been the case. You could make a point otherwise, but it worked for her. The brain's implicit. Because I know when I worked in a care home many years ago, and an Ofsted inspector was with me, and he came into session with me, and I said, maybe it's not a good idea for you to sit in session, because I sensed the young person I was working with was in not a very good mood, and it wouldn't take much to probably spark her off, but he was adamant he was going to come in. Lovely guy, I'll say that. He was a nice guy actually, and he sat down, and all he did was this: make me a brew. And she did that. And I did restrain. No, I let it go. I didn't let it go. I was very professional, and I jumped in, and I realised when I read a care plan, when she was young, she had an abuser. Her uncle would abuse her, and he used to do that when she used to walk into a room. Okay, so she built that memory. It's an implicit reaction. The 6 seconds response that we're not in control of, subconsciously. I'm not saying she would have done anything otherwise, had we would break that state, but it shows the way the brain kind of works. They keep you safe. Okay, so I'll do an awareness exercise with you for no reason other than to demonstrate how your thoughts work. So every time I clap my hands, I want to write the first thought that comes to mind. And if you haven't got pen and paper, you can just make a mental note. Okay. Okay. So the first thought that comes to mind. Okay, so what's the relevance of that? The relevance is don't believe everything that you think. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that you have roughly 60,000 thoughts a day, so they say. I don't know if that's true. That's an estimate. I'm not counted. That's what they say. That's what we know at the moment. Of those thoughts, the ones you had yesterday, pretty much the same ones you'll have today and tomorrow. So 90% of the thoughts you had yesterday are reoffenders if you don't stop and check them out once in a while. Okay, so whether the dog's dangerous or not is irrelevant. Only other you've got to get to the other side of the field. For a woman, she wants to go to the gym, go shopping, go see a friend, lock herself in a room after 6 o'clock. That's a problem. So these thoughts are automatic. Now I know I'm getting a bit CBT-ish on us here from the framework of reality, our beliefs, but ultimately they're automatic. They happen unconsciously, outside of awareness. The dog barking is outside awareness. I can only think on so many things at one given period of time. I can only think of about, say, 5 to 9 pieces of information, they say in the NLP world, in a given period of time, consciously. Everything else under the radar, from a conscious point of view. Because if I say, can you feel your foot on the floor, back on the chair, pen in hand, you probably don't realise until I mention it. So when I do sessions with people on pain relief, hypnosis, it works on the basis that we relegate the pain to a more unconscious level, like when you've got a sore tooth and you are able to read a book, you don't realise it's there. You walk around the park, you've got a pebble in your shoe, you don't notice it until you take it off. You walk in the garden and you see scratches on your arm. You don't notice until you stop doing it. Now, I'm not recommending people do that for all pain relief because I trained chiropractors once in Bournemouth, Uni, based in Bournemouth Uni, and one said to me, they talk a lot about somatic conditions, and I said, well, actually, as it happens, I would suggest before someone comes with pain relief, they see a medical person first. Well, why? Because if you treat someone for back pain, 6 months later they've got a tumour, then you've got big problems. So from a safeguarding point of view, go see the medical person first before you come to me, and rule everything out. Not that anything's guaranteed, but the key thing is that sort of illustrates. But the belief point of view, we have these beliefs. To be fair, most are harmless, but there are the ones that get in the way of where you want to go. What's true, what's not true. Well, whatever you believe to be true, we generally speak and say, that's why it's about being kind to yourself. Compassion. In a normal environment, the baby has care, love. In a normal environment, the mum produces oxytocin and the baby bonds. In a chemically balanced, when things are working well, the baby will bond to the mum. Not everyone's chemically or biochemically the same. What does the baby need? Food. What else does it need? Love. Touch. For sure. But we carry on needing that. So in the first 2 years of a baby's development, it needs that more than it needs beyond that, because it has an attachment. It's going to survive. So the chemicals in the mum's brain are at their highest. The oxytocin up to about 2. But then after 2, the baby finally realizes it can do wrong, because it kicks a football, knocks the TV down, and gets told off. I've never been told off before. I've thrown up over this woman. I've spat all over her. I've cried and woke her up, and I've not done nothing wrong, but now I've been told off. And then throughout our life, soothing. Because we know that in a normal environment, you should be okay. From that point of view. If you chose the right parents, that's opposite. And then psychologically, you're in a good, because biologically we're influenced. People say, no, biology is not, we're not. Well, we are, I would think, my suspicion is we are. We are skin colour, hair colour, eye colour. So I would think there's aspects of our behaviour that could be, at least we've got to be open-minded to that. So let's say we take that consideration, you've got a good environment, you've got good people around you socially, but let's say a 2-year-old, a local gangster steals you because they want a baby, they can't have a baby, and they take you and you're brought up in violence, you're brought up in hatred, you're brought up in horrendous circumstances. Do you think you'd be a different person than the person you are today? I would think so. You didn't choose that. It wasn't your choice. So my thoughts around compassion is about, it's not your fault completely. It's your responsibility to change. Now you're old enough to make the changes, but it takes 2 to tango. Don't beat yourself up too much, because we know what happens if you beat yourself up too much. What happens is, if you're on a weight reduction and you beat yourself up, you eat one biscuit, you beat yourself up, you eat the whole packet. If you have compassion for yourself, you eat one biscuit. It's not in the world. I can eat a biscuit. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow freestone more than what I am. It's okay. And compassion is useful and has soothing. So we can do, and what you practice goes stronger. So practice compassion with yourself. Not in every very wishy-washy way, tea and biscuits, it's okay to do this and it's okay. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying purely that it's not entirely your fault. And from a psychological point of view, many years ago, when I was in performance conditioning and physiological conditioning, post-performance, I had a conversation with a lecturer, and I was really fascinated by psychology. I hadn't entered the domain of psychology just yet, other than NLP and hypnosis. With a conversation, he told me about this case. The case of a guy called Charles Whitten, I think his name was. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, just cut a long story short, he was a guy in the 60s. That's right, he went and shot how many people in Texas, and they did an autopsy in his brain. They found that he had a tumour growing in his brain. Now there's a debate whether that impacted his behaviour, but some people say, at least the person I was talking to at the time, many, many years ago, they only knew loosely from their own research. No one knew, didn't know the guy, knew nothing about the guy, because there's always this physiological, psychological battle going on. Physiologists like to think that chemicals in the brain affect things, and other things are important factors too. But rightly or wrongly, some people said the tumour may have affected the part of the brain that rabies, rabies, mad dog syndrome. So all the counselling wouldn't have helped that guy if that was the case. So I'm just saying, in that point of view, there's many things we don't understand. And not to say everyone's tuner's going to go off and do that, because they don't. But I'm saying that there's a balance of neurotransmitters that we don't know about. There's a lot from a chemical point of view that can impact behaviour too. We can get better, I think, from where we are and improve. How much we improve is beyond anybody's guess, and how the improvement impacts our behaviour is anybody's guess. No one really knows. We can marginalise that by having outcomes. And I use that story to illustrate how you can be hard on yourself without the realisation that, you know, one implicit reaction, one memory in the brain can have such an impact that we struggle to move forward. If we beat ourselves up, so my approach has been extending the comfort zone, extend the comfort zone, Krishna and I extend the comfort zone, where we don't have to jump into the water. We can take 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, and 1 back and 2 step and get there. Then just try and jump in the deep end and end up 4 or 5 steps back. Push the patient as much as you can tolerate and be very acuity. Watch the person and see how they'll react. You push them too much, what will happen, do you think? You'll lose them completely. Okay? So push, 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 and be very aware. Practice your acuity exercises to see how they respond. Okay? If you push them too much, you'll cause even more trauma and even more negative association. When you practice grow stronger, we know this for sure. Neuroscience. Okay? Our repeated thoughts. So the more compassion you practice, the more love you practice, the more things you practice, the stronger it gets. Regardless of what your baseline is. Your default, if you want to call it default. Okay? And the stories you tell yourself are important. Sometimes you do have to let go of certain things in the past. And remind yourself that, okay, I've overcome one thing before, I can overcome another thing in the future. Going forward, or what I'm going through now. Okay? We're going to exercise. So one thing you can do from a belief point of view, which is powerful. Now, I learned this from a Tony Robbins seminar, and I've adapted it. First Tony Robbins, I first saw him at 17. I was quite fortunate to have seen him at 17 and at a seminar in Sydney, his UBW, and I first went to see him then, and I learned this very early in my life, and I adapted it. I utilised it myself, and now teach it to others in my own variation. My own variation of it. But I learned it, and I give him credit for that, because I learned that from one of his seminars. And he does the incantation, not the affirmation, and you can do the exercise if you follow with me. So write a limiting belief you have. I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, anything really that you want to, you can write, so you can see the board. Okay. And if you follow the exercise, and you can have and then write down the opposite. What I would do is I would write down the opposite for me, in my experience. Okay. So if it's I don't deserve good things, I'm an amazing, lovable, awesome person for a lot to offer. Okay? And then you do a gesture and put emotion into it. And that builds a pathway in brain. And if you've told yourself for years, I don't deserve good things, terrible things that happen, I'm not worthy, you've built a pretty good motorway system in your brain. By doing that, you start building another network. Or at least you start making the network that's there already stronger. So to talk about belief, it's a great thing to do. And you can practice if you want to shortly. If you're not comfortable doing the Tony Robbins stuff where they're jumping in the air and blah, 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 you can do it in your mind. So take belief and think, and perhaps you like to close your eyes, you come to close your eyes, you don't have to, you don't want to, but do an incantation. Do a physical gesture for an emotion. And the gesture, the mind-body link, which we don't have a lot of time to go into too much detail this evening, will link, and the brain. The mind-body link. So if I touch someone on the shoulder and give them bad news, it's going to anchor an association. Give them good news, anchor an association. So give it a go. Give the incantation a go. So close your eyes and really feel it. Go to the emotion and feel it and gesture it. And if you do that over and over again, then you start laying the tracks, a new railway system in the brain. Okay? And that goes to emotion too. Same. We'll do for the emotion as well. And then a couple of emotions you experience, write down sadness, anger, and then write the opposite. So you can have a go. You want to close your eyes, you can. You can close your eyes if you don't want to. If you close your eyes, you block out the outside world. And you can use this one if you want to and write your own. Okay, for example, every day I feel happier and healthier. And say it with emotional intensity.
And believe it as well, isn't it? That's the thing.
And precisely.
Not saying it and don't believe it.
And that's a step in the right direction, is going as far as we can. On a scale of 1 to 10, we might not believe it at all at one point, but we say it, and if you've said that for a lifetime, we're probably not going to say it once and we believe it straight away, but it's going to be one better than we are now. Because I know I had an issue when I first started uni at 23. I was a mature stage student. They call me mature then at 23. They don't want to call me now, probably a write-off. Exactly. I started another program recently. I'm a lifelong learner, and I couldn't barely read and write. I didn't know alphabet. I didn't know a noun or a verb, nothing like that. I was embarrassed. I was in a sports performance conditioning course, Loughborough Uni, academics, and I thought, bloody, how am I going to, what do I do here? And the lecturer said to me, who was a famous world-class coach who trained some of the best athletes in the world, says, you've done the hard yards, you're an athlete, you travel, you're competing against the best, put your head down and sort yourself out. And I thought, all right, I will. I don't say that to brag, I say that because I felt that inadequacy. And I told myself over and over again, I said, if I can achieve what I've achieved in sport, then I can do this. And I'll do it. And I didn't go on to write 3 best-selling books and 10 resource manuals, if not more. I'm not bragging, I don't brag. But I'm just saying that to show embryonically, you can run a pattern. And I've been a lifelong learner. Probably studied 3-4 hours a day, every day since then. I've enrolled in another master's recently. People say, why are you doing it for? Why have you enrolled in one of the most prestigious colleges in the world and a master's, another one, enrolled in another one? It's like, because I like to learn. I'll go and learn as much as I want to learn, and I'll disappear and learn something else. Okay, and that's what I've always done. It's never been about significance of proving a point. I'll learn what I want to learn. I don't care about letters to my name. I'm not worried about that. What I want to learn, I'll learn. And for me, the embryonic seed is there. So I'm giving you the answers to break it. I was a guy at school who struggled academically. You come home from work. I come home from school one day and you find out your dad's injured and your mum's not well, and you've got to go out to work at 14, 15 to help support the family in the factory. You learn a bit about life. You learn a bit about life, and if your outlet is sport, which was to me, the one person gave me a bit of encouragement, and it really opened my mind up to what I could do. And I was working in factory, thinking that's all I was worth, and I'm putting these sort of tops on bottle lids like that all day, back in the day production lines. And my next neighbour got me a job, goes to me one day, he says, I said to him, listen, I've got enough of this stuff. He goes, well, why is that? I'm not going to put tops, not just with the people who work in here, they're great people, I love them to bits, all the people, but I'm not going to be doing that in my life. Because where are you going to go? I go, I don't know where I'll go, but not here. And this production line dude kept coming up to me saying, you're going too slow. You're going too bloody slow. I thought, this is a joke. Last time I said, stick your job, up your whatever, I'm off. This time he goes, why have you left this good job for? I said, good job? You're having a laugh. It's like middle of summer, it's about 45-degree heat, there's no air conditioning, it's a good job. No, I'm doing more than this. He goes, no, you won't. I said, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Great guy, I love him to bits. See him all the time, every time I'm back where I'm from. But the irony was that you run these patterns in your head, and you become your identity. They don't mean bad for you. They just see reality differently. I had to see people like Tony Robbins and stuff like that. I had to go see seminars like that because I need to see people who saw the world differently. I had to do it. Okay? Breathing is key. So for you, those anxiety, people with anxiety, I don't go anywhere near cognitive work before. This is the first thing I do is this. You'll know if you work with me, I'll do it in a subtle way. I work on breathing. How do anxiety people breathe, do you think? How do they breathe?
So the chest.
Yeah, and if you breathe shallow and fast, what happens? You send a message to the parasympathetic nervous system, there's danger. fight, flight, freeze. Like you see a vicious dog on the street and you start to panic, same. So what I tell my anxiety people to do, first to eliminate anything else that could be, because anxiety is not all, but this is one thing that we work on. I send them away and say, breathe deeper. If you breathe deeper, what happens? Your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in when it senses danger. You're breathing fast. Your parasympathetic kicks in when you breathe slower. So by breathing deeper, you start training the mind things are okay. Happens automatically anyway. People don't have panic attacks when they're sleeping because the body knows what to do. The sympathetic nervous system, breathe fast. It's just like when you see a vicious dog, something happens that anxiety, cortisol rushes in blood, breathe deeper. So I give my patients anxiety to practice breathing here. And you can practice and see how you feel. Biochemical changes. When you hold your tongue and you practice breathing deeper, you start becoming calmer. Now, I tell them to practice as often as they can. Not when having a shower, they'll swallow the water, it's not good. Or when they're driving, but eat 3-4 times a day until it becomes a normal thing. So 2 weeks after working with me, they've got that sorted. Okay? So you can have a 1-minute exercise where you can do practice deep breathing. And notice how you feel differently. You can teach your staff this. You can teach people this. I'm not saying become the resident psych or medic, but you can teach people where appropriate. And as you breathe deeper, you become aware of your breathing slowing down. As you become aware of your breathing slowing down, notice your heartbeat slowing down. Just practice it. So before you do a presentation, you feel nervous, breathe. Breathe deeper. Before you're doing something that you're anxious doing, one thing that performance goals, sporting event. I once had a footballer say to me, I feel really nervous before a big football game. I said, that's good. He goes, why? Because it means that you care. Butterflies are okay as long as they fly in formation. Okay. So one way to get them in formation is breathe. Breathe deeper. Okay? I sort of touched on this here. I mentioned that the calm the sympathetic nervous system down. We're going to calm it down by kicking the parasympathetic nervous system down. Relax the spiritual muscles, slow the heart rate down, and so on and so forth. But practice it. Practice it, you know. You practice it, it's quite a useful thing to do. And it's easy. It's easy in the sense that it's tangible. We can measure it better. Okay? While you practice grow stronger, that we know. If you practice hatred, anger, you're going to get better at it. If you practice love and compassion, you're going to get better at it. Strengthen a pathway, build a new pathway, which is key. So another exercise I'll do with you, choose an emotion that you enjoy. It could be love, gratitude. And by the way, fear doesn't exist if you can experience the emotion of gratitude, fear will evaporate, disintegrate. Okay? So choose a feeling, love, gratitude. We'll class emotion, states, and feelings all in the one bracket for tonight because we're short of time. We'll go into detail in every area. But choose a feeling and feel it. And if you want to close your eyes, you can do to block out the outside world. You don't have to, you don't want to, but feel it. Any negative thoughts, let them disintegrate in the atmosphere. So don't fight them. Let them evaporate. Like a warm summer's day when you spill water on the floor, it evaporates it. Just let the negative thoughts evaporate and go to that feeling. And hold on to it as long as you want to. 30 seconds, a ballpark figure. Okay? It's not always easy. It won't always work the way you want it to work. But the more you practice it, the better you get at doing it. Okay? And it's a gift you can give your family, friends. And the irony is that you can only do good by it. People buy iPhones to feel better. They buy all this technology. They do all these things to feel better. You can do this and it's not going to cause anyone danger. Teachers can teach students, it's not going to cause anyone danger. It's only going to be a good thing. They can only say, well, it's not for me, that's okay. I'm not ready for it. How you define yourself is key. Careful the label you give yourself. The labels that, and we go to how we communicate to ourselves. Think about some of the labels. Okay? I want you to think about how you would define yourself. If someone asked you, who are you? How would you define yourself? And think of the impact it has on your life. Knowing in the Western world, our social status depends a lot on our profession. And we make other things irrelevant. That's not me saying it, that's reality. One way to disempower yourself is to become, undermine yourself. Okay? How you define yourself. So the parent who's bringing up 2 children on her own or his own, define themselves. And I had this a few years ago, and I had a reunion with some people I went to university with, and I was working at a top football club, and so were the other ones at the table. One woman had just decided to give up her professional career in sport, and she goes, "You guys are doing great. We're doing. I'm not doing a great deal." I said, "What are you up to?" And I'm just bringing up 2 kids. There's an irony in that, isn't there? Because we were working in sport and in football, and as much as I love football, it's just 11 dudes on either team kicking a bag of there, really. And she was doing a real job. Doing a real job. A real job, bringing up 2 children. You'll be a psychiatrist, nutritionist, all sorts of stuff, taxi driver. And we undermine ourselves based on social status. So carefully you define yourself. People have got these issues about what they can and can't achieve based on academia, based on, I've seen people with PhD can't fight their way out of a paper bag. I'm not suggesting, implying that things not worth. I've done loads of study myself. Don't tie yourself into a lot of things. So the best psychiatrists I've seen were the ones who had not done a day's training in psychiatry when I started working in care homes, because they had the experience of bringing up kids themselves, some on their own, and they could connect the kids better than someone with 100 letters after their name who tried to use a textbook all the time. There's no manual. Okay? Getting tuned to your values. Ask yourself, what's my day? What sort of day do I want to experience? And what do I want to experience more of? Okay? This goes back to what I said earlier about compassion for self. It's a hypothesis about how we're raised. If you could change anything that you're raised, think, how would I change? Knowing that you didn't choose your parents, you didn't choose your social group, at least all of them anyway, it's a good way to start rewire the brain. Because I know when I heard a story once, I watched this documentary. I didn't know him personally. I'm just from what I watched documentary, the guy, and I saw other documentaries too. These aren't people I know, so I don't want to speak ill of people I don't know nothing about. But just from seeing documentaries of these people who've had everything they've wished for, materialistically, famous musicians, actors, actresses, and they've gone on to do bad things to themselves. I watched a story once, a documentary on Robin Williams, the comedian dude, and he was like, I don't know him, I don't know anything about him, but from the documentary what I could see, he says he didn't get we were talking about trauma growing up, he didn't get the love from what I can see, what he talked about in the early years of his life. And he was trying to prove the point to his mum to make her laugh. And by making her laugh, he felt he had some sort of significance. He carried on doing that through all his life. It was never enough. He won an Academy Award. He was world famous. He was a talented man. And look at the way it ended for him. I'm not saying it was down to that, but I'm saying that, see, we don't control a lot of things. So being able to reflect and think, okay, everything for self. What would I change? If I could change anything. You might think, what a ridiculous question that is. Well, to the point that you can't change it, but you can regress. We regress every day. We're always regressing. Listen to a song, takes you back to a certain time in your life. If the police pull you over, you regress to being a young child. We regress all the time. So why not regress and just rewrite history? And not tie ourselves into history. And ask ourselves thought-provoking questions that are going to, okay, I'm okay with myself. I have empathy with myself. Not your fault. Whatever situation you're in is not entirely your fault, regardless of what you've done or what you do. Not entirely your fault. It takes 2 people to dance tango. Okay? And we want to train the brain to think of treasured memories. And we can write them down to start with and feel them. And teach this part of the brain to draw better experiences. So I think if you treasured memories, because every treasured memory brings out some negativity, muddying the waters, let it disintegrate and go to the feeling. Go to the feeling. What are my treasured memories? It could be a sporting event, it could be professional, personal. It could be bringing up a child, and many things. And really, really reinforcing that network in the brain, quite powerful way to do. Relaxation training is key. Take time out to do relaxation training. You can do progressive muscle, mind-body connection. Squeeze the part of the limb, toes, calves, so on and so forth, and just release the energy. Or you can do imagery. I'll take you through a 2 or 3 minute journey of one or the other above. You'll call what you do. And I had this one. So I was doing some work. I was doing some consultancy work for the Air Force one time. And one of the people in the Air Force said to me, because I was doing relaxation training for decompression, and he goes, "What a lot of bollocks that is." I said, "Okay, fine." So I brought him to the front. He was a senior member of the forces, and I thought, okay, if I don't get him on my side, I'm going to lose the whole group. So I got him to do 10 minutes of imagery, relaxation. And I said, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get caught up in an argument with you. If you argue with an idiot, you know what happens? You always lose. You've got more practice than you, so no point going there. So I said, I'm going to take your blood pressure and your heart rate. I'm going to measure it 10 minutes later. And his blood pressure was 145 over 95, which my understanding is high. Even though it was 140 over 90, his heart was about 100 beats per minute. Very high. 69 is the average rate. So they say, when we've done the process, his blood pressure went to normal range, heart rate went to about 65, 70 BPM. And that was a way of measuring, how to experiment. And I said, okay, think of a day, how many minutes in a day? You multiply that by 20 beats per minute less, it's about 10, 20,000 beats less stress on your heart. He goes, will it stay that way? I said, well, just like a tablet for pain relief, it'll stay that way. Take another one, meditate again and again. But more importantly, I said, run to the room and back. Another experiment. I said, I'm going to get to run to the room and back and do an implicit task. Okay? And then do it when you're calm and focused and see how much better you are at doing it. And that was his buying. So he did me a favor. By saying what he did, by being the way he did, was my buying. I said, oh, this stuff is seriously good stuff. And that's not mentioning lowering the cortisol levels. I did one of the biggest football clubs in the world said one time, what's this hypnosis stuff? And one of the coaches says, you know what? By measuring cortisol levels, they saw the reduction. Okay? And I did the blood pressure thing with them as well too, and you can see how powerful it is. So I'll have a go if you want to. We'll do a couple of minutes if you want to. You follow it. Perhaps you'd like to close your eyes. It's your call. If you're comfortable enough to close your eyes, you can do. And just breathe naturally normally. As you breathe naturally normally, you may become aware of your back against chair, your feet against floor. And as you become aware of your feet against floor, you notice your heartbeat. As you notice your heartbeat, control your muscle energy, breathing deeper. As you begin to breathe deeper, perhaps you notice your heart rate going down, your breathing slowing down. And perhaps you'd like to transport yourself to a time or a place where you felt calm and peace. If you can't think of a time, it's okay. Create an environment. If you've got any negative thoughts that are running through your mind, let them evaporate into the atmosphere. And really connect to that feeling that you want to feel. Gratitude, love, peace, whatever works for you. And just enjoy the feeling. And I'll pause for a moment and let you notice the colours, the sounds, the feelings, and turn those feelings up. And if you've got any feelings of nerves or anxiety. Just imagine spilling a drink on a warm summer's day and the sun just evaporates it. And it evaporates from the sky. A bit like driving. As you drive on a nice country road on a nice summer's day, you enjoy the beautiful scenery, the greenery, the blue sky, and you drive past these wonderful country roads, but you're vigilant enough to know if a wasp hits the window, you can see it, and you know you're okay. And you've got that control, that vigilance. And you can carry on driving, or as you drive, you can imagine being in a vacation or in a place or with people around you that you feel comfortable with. And fully experience that. And in your own time, in your own pace, you can gradually come back here and now. If you want to come back, you'll stay where you are, you can stay where you are. It's your call. We're sort of short of time. I'm sort of fast tracking through some of these things, but I would encourage you, and you can see I've got videos, and hopefully if the recordings come okay of this, you can go back and go through it again, and do the heart rate test yourself. You want to monitors and take your heart rate first, take it again. If you work as a manager and you've got staff that don't buy in, then do the test with them. That's their buy-in. That's their buy-in. To think that you can reduce, and to think that in that situation, the guy I was working with reduced his heart rate and blood pressure. I'm not a medical person. I don't want to go at medical people. They do a great job, and I've got a lot of good friends in the medical field too. But to think that the medication people would need to reduce that in that time frame, to think how powerful the mind is, pretty damn powerful. Not the same as going to reduce in that way, work for everybody, but it's got to give it a shot. People have got to give it a go. Even if they take medication, they've got to give some of this stuff a go too. Won't do no harm. I think anyway, in my opinion. And at least give everything a go. Exercise is great. Make time to exercise every day, even if it's walk around the field. Endorphins in the brain, chemicals in the brain. You can do that. Exercise is fantastic. Who's ever felt bad after doing some exercise? And you've got lovely greenery around here, and you can walk around there and chemical changes in the brain. Okay? When you can. And when you feel comfortable doing that. Even sport. Exercise doesn't have to be in the gym. It can be socially, playing sport. The only issue with sport is that if you play for your family, you get beaten. It causes all sorts of problems. You play against your kids, just tell me let them win. Don't tell them that's okay. I've got a mate of mine actually. When we play sport, we get very competitive. It gets pretty heated. I only play him in sports so I can beat him. Because if he beats me in a sport, I'll get a text message all night. So I won't go into any. That's when sport becomes a bit. The old competitive spirit comes out, as you do, as one does. Perspective is quite useful. Whatever you're going through, whatever it might be, write down 5 different ways you can see it. Great exercise to do. Not for everything, not for all things. You're going to think, well, I can't see it a different way. But that's how you can change the story. So public speaking, I can see it differently to the way I've seen it before. It's an opportunity to express myself. It's an opportunity to connect with people. When I first started public speaking, seriously, I can compete as an athlete to as many people as you want to. I compete around the world as an athlete, not a problem. Sports person. Okay, not a problem. People watch me, no worries. When I first started speaking publicly, okay, even 5 people, I'd be like this, back turned. I just didn't feel, and all those years ago, ironically, I joined the speaking group. I'm not on commission for the speaking group, Toastmasters, but I talk highly of it because I joined many, many years ago, and I rejoined. And the reason being is because I want to create experiences for myself, but perspective is what helped me a lot too. I thought, what am I doing for anyway? I'm doing it because I want to help people. I'm doing it because I want to connect with people. Very similar to when I did media training. And I did my media training, paid a lot of money for a coach to train me to do media work. And at the end of the coaching session, she goes, I don't advise you going radio. I go, why is that? Is it because you recommend I go on TV? She goes, no. Well, what's the problem? She goes, you don't articulate yourself very well for radio. I said, really? Well, you just motivated me now to prove me wrong. And we took football at 5. In Sky Sports Australia, number 1. Never been done before. And the reason being, I thought, you know what? I'm going to remove I'm going to connect to why I'm doing it for perspective. And I did a show in the UK on 5 Live, and they said he's going to be very provocative. The guy is going to really challenge you. And I'm stressing it all weekend, thinking, how will I come across? I might come across too academic, I might come across too lame. Where am I going to go? And I prepared all weekend, stressing out, and today's show's the taxi picked me up to go to the show. I ripped the thing up and said, you know what, if one person takes something on board what I say and their life's better for it, I've done my job. Perspective changed it. And I turned up, did show, and the show went for like an hour, for like 2 minutes, and I got all these texts and emails coming in saying, geez, you did really, really well. I never listened to myself on radio because I just cringed, don't like the sound of my voice, as you do. But the irony was, that's another challenge I should change too, but the irony was that you change the meaning, big impact. Perspective is key. Perspective is key, the way you see it. Okay? How I see it. Because I know when I delivered a talk to some of the high-flying business people, I was delivering a talk to high-flying business people. And I'm quite casual, laid back, but I'm very, very hard-working too, and I take my work really seriously, but I don't take life too seriously. And the irony was I turn up, and one of the dudes goes to me, from a top business, he goes, you know what? He goes, I have an issue. One of the issues, he goes, can I give you some advice? I said, yes, you can give me some advice, albeit they're paying me some, pretty decent money to come and give you. You give them advice, top business people. I go, what is it? And this is sort of overdressed for me. I tend to sort of dress in shorts and t-shirt because I feel comfortable that way. But he turns around and says, well, the YouTube videos you do. I said, and? And he goes, well, if you're going to make your way in corporate sector, albeit I've written a book that's sort of outsold any other book in business anyway, and I do it as a corporate book anyway, he goes, the YouTube videos, and I do some silly videos, but the reason I do the videos is because I know there's going to be someone somewhere who's watching them who was where I was when I was a young person growing up and I was very, very challenged, who's going to see the humour. And they may just consider they can do something. And he said to me, well, from a business point of view, you don't want to act silly in the videos and do that. And I said, well, for me, if 7 billion people in the world said, flip an idiot, and one person has saved their life, then I've done my job. Because the world you live in, there's no meaning of the meaning you give it. And perspective. And that was my way of sort of implying that, you know what, you can become fully your own importance too sometimes. I think sometimes life's too serious to take too serious as well. I know full well if someone watches a video of me doing incantations and messing it, I mean silly, and their life changes, and they improve their way in any little way, and they get loads of emails coming in all the time, and texts saying how much I've helped people. I don't take any credit for it because I don't help anyone, I just facilitate. It's powerful stuff. Perspective is powerful. How you see it is powerful. Gratitude journal. Keep one every day. And go to the feeling. If you don't keep gratitude journal, it's a good time to start. Better now than never. If you've got children, what a great gift you can give them tonight. Teach them gratitude. If their default for gratitude is 8 out of 10 and someone else is 2 out of 10, how much better will they do in life? Not that I'm sort of implying that we want to compete and there's not enough for everybody, but from a point of view of them striving in life. If they get bad news, like we all do in life at times, if they go back to 8, then sink down to 2, what a better world I'll live in. Because I know in my world, it took me a long time to work on that. My default was -10. I worked hard. It took me a long time to get to a point where months of being frustrated and angry many, many years ago, at a time, to days, to hours, to now, I sort of go to the meaning. I connect to the feeling. I tell the feeling, what are you trying to tell me? And act on it if I feel a certain way. Because I understand emotions are part of life. You're meant to experience emotions, but what we are. Suppressing them like some people do isn't solving the issue. So no emotion's knocking on the door, telling you something. Speak to it. Okay? Gratitude is a good way to raise the default state. If you trade your expectation for appreciation, the world changes dramatically. If you, like someone said to me in the corporation, they've got nothing to be grateful for, I said, well, shut your eyes. And they shut their eyes. I said, close your ears. And they closed their ears. I said, what are the things we take for granted? You've got senses. And some people with senses, that's not to say they don't live equally, if not even better, because they appreciate what they have. So you can be the most richest person in the world, but you're not rich in gratitude. That's a powerful place to start. So you can work up on Monday morning thinking, oh no, I can't stand this flippant job. You've got a job. There's someone to give anything to have what you have. We live in a great country. We've got plenty of opportunity. People don't see it all the time because the expectation is want. Okay, gratitude is a great place to be. You raise it, you'll do well. You raise it in your staff. If they're grateful to their customers, I'm grateful to anyone who, any customer or anyone in general, even people who, in my opinion, maybe not in their opinion, have done me wrong, I'm grateful because they made me the person I want to be. If it wasn't for a challenging upbringing, I wouldn't be the person I am now and have done what I've done, so I'm grateful. It releases the pressure. I'm grateful for people who walked away when I had a sport injury and I was in the pinnacle of competing at the highest level. Grateful because I wouldn't have gone down the road I am now. So I know it's not easy to do, but it's powerful stuff. Being grateful. Do the journal every day. Some days you can't bother doing it. Fine. But the more you practice, the better it is. Teach your kids to do it at 3, 4, 5-year-old. By the time they get older, they're in a much better place. I think anyway.
Do you put a date on it, Jim, or do you just put it on a daily?
I do meditation. I just close my eyes and feel it.
So you don't write it down, no?
No, if the start is writing it down, if you haven't done it before,
Right,
but I go feeling. I'm sort of hardwired myself.
You do it mentally?
Yeah, I'm not going to stay in misery long enough I need to stay anymore.
Right.
For me, life's too short for that. I stayed too long. I've already signed off. I've paid a debt I don't know with misery. For many, many years, I was sick. I just got sick and tired and tired. I paid a debt and some for everybody else too, staying in the state of misery for no reason. Until I realised one day, well, you know what the heck? We're only here once. We're not here for a long time, big scheme of things. And without being pessimistic or negative, but the truth is in 8 billion years the sun's going to blow up, we're all gone anyway, whether you believe in whatever you believe in. But the fact of the matter I'm saying is that life's not that, in that sense, where this is it. There's never been a you, there'll never be another you in this genetic form. Live it. Be grateful. Being alive is a damn gift. There's more chance of you winning the lottery 100 times in a lifetime than being alive. What more proof do you need that it's a miracle? Goodness me, I'm going to stay in a negative state longer than I need to. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of pain. And teach young people night needs day, day needs night. It's okay to feel pissed off sometimes. Okay to be sad. Okay to be angry. You don't have to, at least in my opinion, run and suppress the emotion every time you feel down. You don't have to. I'm not for or against medication. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to comment on that. But what I would say, if you suppress a bad emotion, what do you do with a good emotion? So maybe the medical people want to start thinking also, let's teach people this stuff too as well as. If they need the medic, then fine. I'm sure there's some people who do. I can't comment on that. I don't know enough about that. But I know that this damn works. And I know this can have an impact. How much, I don't know. But it'll have more if we're not doing it now. You need to take a bit here, a bit there, a bit everywhere. Okay? Just things. And for me, sleep hygiene's a big one. Getting in good sleep patterns. Really important. Meditation. Having a day where we disconnect from devices. Now, I had some dude on Monday morning say, why didn't you respond back to my email? I go, what email? I didn't get an email from you when I logged out on Friday afternoon. I sent you an email Sunday night. I checked my email on Monday and the dude emailed me at 2 in the morning. I said, get a effing life, for goodness sake. Piss off. I'm not checking my email on a Sunday. It's my day. My day off. Because I know when I was doing a tour in America, there's one of the towns over there. I'm not endorsing religious belief, by the way. You believe what you want to believe. But there's a place where, for religious purposes, I stand corrected, I could be wrong, they had a day a week they didn't connect devices, and mental health improved. So just to show, these days, you go to a restaurant, I'm in a restaurant once I'm doing a big seminar, and family of 4 or 5 people like that. I've been to a seminar tour in the States, and I'm sat there on my own, I'm just having a bite to eat, and I'm looking at these 4 or 5 like that. I gotta stand up and say something to them, for better not, they'll shoot me. Shut me big God for change. But that's a fact, isn't it? They're meant to make your life easier, make your life harder. They're great. Technology's great. I'm not against it. I'm just saying that, accepting ourselves. Flaws and all. It took me a long time, acceptance really, and I'll touch on that before we leave for today. But all you want to feel better. So feel better now. Okay, whatever you want, any goal you want because you think it's going to make you feel better. Okay, and you might think, well, what's the point of chasing a goal? I'm very goal orientated. I'm not going to wish my life away. And you're in a better place to achieve the goal if you feel better. Your vibration, you believe in vibration, it's your call. Whatever energy you put out, you get back. You believe in that, it's your call. If you don't believe in that, you're in a better place, you're in a good place mentally. So choose an outcome and feel what it's like having it. Choose a goal and feel it. Okay? Feel having the goal. Go to the feeling first. Really, really powerful stuff. And hold on to it for 17 seconds, as long as you can do. And weird and wonderful things will happen. I assure you that. Okay? Another guy once said to me, who'd broken up a relationship on a course, he goes, "You're talking rubbish. I've just broken up. I want another relationship after 2 years he'd broken up. I can't feel bad." I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know how much it's had an impact on you. But you can start by improving how you feel." And I asked him, "What sort of person you want to bring in your life?" And he goes, "I want someone vibrant, someone positive, someone energetic." I said, "Well, stop being miserable, bastard. You might get something right." You know those miserable people you don't like being around? The ones who just drain you and just destroy everybody else. The borderline. I haven't got borderline people, by the way. I shouldn't do that. But the sort of person who are like garlic, they just infect everybody else. Their misery. Goodness me, and having, and that's the sort of key. You're in a better place if you feel better about yourself to do what you want to do. Don't wait for conditions. You're waiting a long time. Okay? And there's 3 things you can do as a result of doing seminar tomorrow different than what you wouldn't have done before. 3 things to make it real. On a final note, before, and you can use it as a springboard, before we break away and we get going, for me, one of the biggest lessons came when I was in Thailand one time doing some seminars out there in the spiritual guy. For many years I studied everything you could ever imagine. I studied every modality for many years, and I still do now. And the spiritual guy says to me one time, and I just wasn't feeling great. I got myself back in the rut a good long while ago. I'm thinking, why do I keep getting in this state for? Why? What's it trying to tell me? And he goes, as much as you know and you do and you practice this stuff, it's about loving self. When he told me about self-love, I nearly spit feathers. This guy's off his head. Love self. And he goes, you've got to learn to love yourself. I thought, wow. For me, that was being vain, the way I interpreted it. And I realised that she's got a point. You can't give to someone else what you can't give to yourself. And he suggested to me, he goes, when you get up tomorrow morning, he said, place your hand on your heart and say the words, I love you, and your name. Jim, say those words. And I did that, and I felt so contrite. He said, how do you feel when you've done that? I said, I feel like a complete idiot. And he goes, well, that's why you should do it even more. I said, wow, he's got a point. And I did it. And I kept doing it. It took about 2-3 months to do. And after about 2-3 months of doing it, and I'll do it first thing in the morning, I felt all the love of you could ever imagine. A complete bliss of grandparents, of children, all the things. Now, from then onwards, I'd be lying if I said every morning I did that, I felt that way, but it built a path in my mind. I had a massive realization, massive shift for me in the way I saw the world. I know, I've done seminars all over, there's been different things written about me and the way I do things and my approach these days, but I truly believe that how we feel about ourselves has a big impact. And I truly believe we live in a world these days that is pushing us down. It's finding fault. It magnifies the negative. And we live in a consumer world that I've got nothing against. I'm part of that world as well. I'm part of that world too. I'm not implying that I'm not part of that world, but I have the realization that it's a world that tells you that things are worse than what they are. The biggest marketing trick is tell you that you've got inadequacies and they'll solve the issue. They don't solve the issue, I'm afraid. Nice things are nice things. We all like nice things, but ultimately in the end you can feel good now. So I want to share that gift, and I know some people aren't ready to do the process, but I sort of share, because I know if there's one person in the group who takes the process on and emails me in a month saying that I felt great, and I work with people across a broad range of areas, self-harmers, substance misusers, everything you can ever imagine, every label, work with high-risk offenders, sports people, I work with a lot of people, business-wise, and one of the things that I had the realization that our feeling, sense of self, is key. So the final process, and you can reflect back on this and take away, and one that I learned from a spiritual teacher many years ago in Thailand, who taught me and was a big game changer for me. I accepted myself. I realized that I'm okay. I can be myself. People talk about my transformation. There was never a transformation. I just felt for many years I was caught up in a world that my identity. I couldn't realize the person I was in fear. And I hear the voices that I heard growing up about not being good enough, not being this. And I realized that I could let go and I could give grace for those voices that I heard, because they developed the person I was and wanted to be. And I'm striving to carry on improving. So if you're comfortable doing that, you can do. If you're not comfortable saying the words "I love you" to yourself, you can maybe say to yourself, "I accept myself." So if you want to do the exercise, you can do. Close your eyes, place your hand on the heart. Immediately by placing your hand on the heart, you release chemicals in the brain. That's neuroscience, we know that. And if you're comfortable enough in your own mind, you can say the words "I love you" in your name. And you can have a go at it tomorrow. If you're not comfortable saying those words, then maybe start with "I accept myself" and name. And if you do that a few times every day, you'll notice mysterious things changing in the morning when we're most receptive. Hypnotic state in the morning. Gratitude list in the morning when you're in a hypnotic state. In the evening before you go to bed. Great time to do gratitude list because it goes in the unconscious mind. Really great time to do it as an exercise. So that's what we're going to cover. Can email me if you want anything tonight. I sent you some handouts to do. If you didn't receive an email again, I send them back to you. I do get back. So we've streamed as well. You can view anything. You're going to do anything again. We're going to do pretty quick speed this evening. Some of the exercises I've got as well. And you can take what's right for you. The journey. You widen your radar. I did that as a coach. I widened my radar. I started here and I widened my radar over many years of working in therapy and coaching. And that's what you can do in anything. Some things aren't ready or some things aren't for you at this moment in time, but they might be ready for you. I'm mindful people got to go. So if you do have any questions, comments, otherwise you can email me or I'll be around for a short while hereafter. I want to thank you all for coming along this evening. I've really enjoyed it. I'm sure you'll take stuff away from this evening, but do share some of your experiences. And like all things really, it's like going to a gym. You don't do one session in great shape. The more you do it, the stronger you become. Eating nutrition, you don't eat one good meal, and that's it. You don't practice golf once, tennis once. No one's ever won Wimbledon reading a book. It's experiential. You keep doing it, and there are days that you like. We all have days. It's like the 80-20 rule for me. There's certain days that you don't eat well for whatever reason. You don't go to the gym, and same with this stuff. It's what you do most of the time. Because what you practice grows stronger. It's what you do most of the time, not what you do once in a while. And if you can raise that vibration, raise the energy on a barometer of 1 to 10, with 10 being high, raise those levels and quantify those levels, life becomes a much better place to be. You're running around at, say, 2 out of 10 for love, enthusiasm, compassion, gratitude. Life's a lot more challenging if you can raise it. And you have to raise it from 2 to 8 straight away. It can be 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Or you can be like me, who was like minus 100, and raised it gradually and got myself to a place of about 8 or 9. I have bad days too, by the way. I have days where I get up morning and think, oh, goodness me. But I don't stay there for too long. Because not long after I get up and I feel that way, I do some gratitude, go for a walk, I have one of those green juices and have a couple of coffees. And I'm on the way, There we go. So thank you for coming along, and yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thank you. Yeah. Was that okay? Some did you get? Yeah, we got some stuff. Yeah.